Who came to us not long ago, retired, kids long gone, and settled in other states, living in a beautiful 2,800 square foot home in Hendersonville that they'd owned for years. They loved the home, but they've been having the same conversation for a long time. The yard was more than they wanted to manage. The rooms they never used still needed heating and cooling and cleaning. And every time one of them brought up the idea of making a change, the other would say, maybe next year. Does that sound familiar? Today, we're going to tell you the rest of that story and walk through what the right sizing move actually looks like for empty nesters here in Henderson County. From the emotional side of the decision all the way through to what life looks like on the other side.
We're Ryan and Suzanne McAbee with the Live Play WC real estate team here in Hendersonville, North Carolina. And we work with homeowners across the county every day. And we built our peak home selling system around one simple belief. And that is selling your home should be straightforward, low stress, and designed to protect the equity you've spent years building.
What we've learned from working with sellers here is that most people don't struggle with the decision to sell because the market isn't good enough. They struggle because they have questions nobody's answered yet. So that's what we do on this channel. We answer the real questions, the ones you're asking before you ever call an agent.
If something we covered today resonates and you want to talk through your specific situation, there is a link below to schedule a consultation with us. But right now, let's dig into the rest of that story. So what finally moved that couple from maybe next year to actually doing something?
Honestly, it wasn't one dramatic moment. It was a conversation where they finally let themselves do the math out loud. What were they actually getting from 2,800 square feet with two people in it? What was it costing them? Not just in mortgage and taxes, but in time, energy, and the low-grade stress of maintaining more home than they actually needed.
I think it was having to walk that garbage can up the driveway too.
Yeah, that too.
When we walked through the numbers with them, their equity position, what a move would cost, what they net, and what that net proceeds figure could actually buy them locally, something shifted. The decision that had felt vague and overwhelming for years became concrete and very manageable.
They ended up moving into a 1,500 square foot condo here in Hendersonville. Single level, 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, a community with a clubhouse, a pool, and neighbors that felt right. No yard to maintain, no gutters to clean, no roof to worry about because the HOA handles that exterior maintenance.
And the last time we spoke with them, they used a word that we hear a lot from clients who make this type of move. They said they felt lighter, not because they gave something up, but because they stopped carrying something that had been weighing on them for years without even really realizing it.
And that word lighter is why we wanted to start this video with their story. Because for a lot of empty nesters in Henderson County, the house that they're living in has become something that they maintain rather than something that they're enjoying. And recognizing that distinction is usually the beginning of the decision.
Before we go any further, we want to address the word that's probably in the title of this video, and that's the word downsizing. We use it because it's what people search for, but we actually don't love it as a description of what this move actually is and involves.
Downsizing implies that you're giving something up, that you're trading a bigger, better thing for a smaller, lesser one. And for most of the empty nesters that we work with in Henderson County, that's not what actually happens. What happens is a trade of square footage they're not using for a life that fits their new lifestyle better.
Right sizing is really the more accurate word. You're not stringing your life. You're just aligning your home with the life that you're actually living now. A retired couple who travels several months a year, whose children visit a few times a year, who spends most of their time in the kitchen, the living room, and one bedroom, that couple doesn't need the 2,800 plus square feet. They're paying to heat, cool, clean, and maintain space that exists mostly just to be maintained.
The emotional reframe matters because it changes how you evaluate the decision. If you go into it thinking, I'm giving up my home, every smaller space feels like a loss. If you go into it thinking, I'm choosing a home that actually fits my life now, the same spaces feel like a gain. The physical square footage is identical. The psychological experience of it is completely different.
Let's talk about what is actually available in Henderson County for buyers in this category, because the market has shifted in a way that's generally favorable for right-sizing buyers right now.
The condo and townhome segment here has been one of the most active parts of the Henderson County market in 2025 and into 2026. Sales in that category rose 42% year over year in early 2025. New construction townhome sales doubled from 2024, and developers have clearly identified the demand and are building to meet that.
What that means practically is that right-sizing buyers have more options in Henderson County today than they've had in years. Single-level homes and condos designed specifically for this stage of life. There's open floor plans, primary bedroom on the main floor, low maintenance exteriors, all those community amenities that are available across a range of price points now.
And the sweet spot for this buyer in the county is roughly $300,000 to $450,000 or so. That's where the highest concentration of inventory exists in the condo and townhome segment. And it's a range that most long-term homeowners in this area can access comfortably, or in many cases outright using the equity from their larger home.
And there's an important nuance in that $300,000 to $400,000 segment specifically, and that price range has only about 2 months of supply in Henderson County right now. It's the tightest segment of the entire market, which means if you are right-sizing buyer targeting that range, Moving with intention and preparation is really important. The right property, the right community, the right price does not sit for 90 days in this segment. Being ready to move when the right home appears is part of your overall strategy.
Yeah, and this is exactly why we recommend that sellers who are considering a local rising move start the conversation with us before they're ready to list. Understanding what's available on the buy side and whether your target property type and price range has the inventory to support your timeline shapes how we sequence this entire transaction.
So let's look at what this move does to your financial picture, because this is where the right sizing math becomes generally compelling.
So take a homeowner in Henderson County who has owned a 2,800 square foot home for 12 years. The current value is maybe around $450,000. Remaining mortgage of $130,000. Monthly costs roughly break down like this: mortgage payment, property taxes, homeowners insurance, and maintenance averaging out across the year. All in, a reasonable estimate for total monthly housing costs on a home like this is somewhere in the range of $2,500 to maybe $3,200, depending on their specific mortgage rate and their maintenance history.
Now they net approximately $370,000 after paying off the mortgage and covering the selling cost, and they use the proceeds to buy a condo outright, no mortgage. Their new monthly costs are HOA fees, which cover the exterior maintenance, amenities, and common areas, and those are somewhere in between $300 to $500 a month for a well-run community in Henderson County, plus reduced property taxes on a less expensive property and lower homeowners insurance on that smaller home too.
So total monthly housing costs on the condo scenario is maybe roughly $600 to $900 a month all in. When you compare that to $2,500 to $3,200, that's a monthly savings of $1,600 to $2,300 every single month.
Over a year, that adds up to anywhere between $19,000 and $27,000 in freed up cash flow. And over 5 years, it's close to $100,000 to $135,000. That money funds travel, it funds time with friends and family, it funds the experiences that retirement is supposed to be about, not the maintenance schedule of a house that's too big.
And that's before accounting for the equity that didn't go into the condo purchase, money that remains liquid. And if your particular scenario, if you have even more money that didn't go into that purchase of the condo, that money remains liquid, invested, or available as a financial cushion. So the right sizing move doesn't just reduce your expenses, it restructures your entire financial picture in favor of the life you want to live.
Let's quickly walk through what the process of a local right sizing move actually looks like from a practical standpoint, because one of the things that keeps people in the, well, maybe next year loop is not knowing how it actually works.
And the first conversation is about sequencing. Do you sell first or buy first? We've covered this in detail in video 11, so we'll link to that below. But for local right sizing moves specifically, the HELOC option and the rent back agreement are often the most practical paths because you're staying in the same market and your timeline is a little bit more flexible than maybe somebody who could be relocating out of state.
The second conversation is about preparation. What does your current home need before it's ready to list? In our peak system, the prepare and enhance phases handle this. We're talking about possibly pre-inspections, targeted repairs, staging, professional photography. For a well-maintained home that just needs cosmetic freshening, this process typically takes a few weeks. For a home with more significant deferred maintenance, you might want to allow more time.
And the third piece of this is the buy side. So identifying your target property type, the price range and community features, and getting pre-approved or confirming your cash position so you can move quickly when the right home does appear. In a segment with only maybe 2 months of supply, being prepared to make a decision is just as important as finding the right home.
And that whole process from initial conversation to closing typically runs 3 to 5 months for a local right sizing move when everything is properly sequenced. That's not a long time relative to how long most people have been thinking about making this move.
True. And that couple we told you about at the beginning of this video, the ones who spent years saying maybe next year, closed on their condo and haven't looked back. What they tell us now is that they wish they had done it sooner, not because the home that they left wasn't wonderful, but because the life on the other side of the decision was waiting for them the whole time.
If you've been having this same conversation, like we'll do this next year, over and over again, we'd love to help you find some clarity around that. We'll walk you through your equity position, your options on the buy side, and what the financial picture looks like before and after. Just a clear, honest conversation that can actually move you forward.
And when you're ready to have that conversation, the link below takes you to our consultation calendar. Now, let's get you on the path to sold.